third inning, allowed just 6 hits, 1 home run. That was to Mike Bordick, walked 3 and struck out 3. He really has emerged as the ace of this staff. Very difficult to run on. What impressed the Oriole hitters was his velocity. The scouting report coming in was he was not a hard thrower. I think last time around, probably looking for a lot more off speed and breaking stuff than Dixon threw. So he had an outstanding cutter, a pitch they also didn't know he had. So we'll see if the Orioles change their plan of attack. I don't know how many people at home remember Dick Dotson, who pitched for a number of years for the White Sox. Very much similar delivery. He too also had an excellent changeup, much like Dixon.
That could get you ready, huh? If you weren't, you should be now. We're going to talk a lot about Anaheim Stadium. It is being refurbished to the tune of about $50 million or so, and we will be giving you some shots of what they're doing out here to try to make this a baseball-only facility. In the meantime, we hope you enjoyed, those of you checking us out here tonight on HTS, the Colorado-Pittsburgh contest that you enjoyed from the Fox Television Network. Pittsburgh Pirates come up with the win at home in Three Rivers, and it's another magnificent night for Orioles baseball as we get set to bring it to you. So settle in and enjoy with us late night back on the Eastern Seaboard as we see if the Orioles can go to work against the young right-hander Jason Dixon. Brady Anderson will lead it off, followed by Robbie Alomar and then Eric Davis. Brady in at .351 and still with that very fine on-base percentage. Bouncing right up the middle to the glove of Gary DiSarcina. Will throw out Brady by a step to get us started here in Southern California.
Well, you can see Jason Dixon was paying attention to last night's ball game. Brady Anderson hit the first pitch of the game last night for a homer, and it was actually his first 3 times up. Swung at the first pitch and had a home run and a double to show for it. Dixon started Anderson off with a slow breaking ball.
Shigetoshi Hasegawa was touched up by Brady last night. First pitch swing. Here's Robbie Alomar now. Robbie seemingly back in the groove of being able to go in that number 2 spot every day at second base as his normal custom. Mike's still much stronger from the left-handed side of the plate at .304 as opposed to .214 right-handed.
Well, usually he's a little bit better from the left side than the right, but not quite almost 100 points difference. He still seems to be able to amaze you almost every night, certainly with his glove or some other sort of exciting play. It's really a pleasure to watch night after night.
1-2 now on Alomar as he tries to get the O's offense started. There's a skipper. And a breaking pitch from Jason Dixon just missed off the outside edge.
Well, he has at least 4 quality pitches. I saw the radar gun in Baltimore said he threw around 89 to 90 miles an hour. But it's the late movement on his fastball, and he has a changeup, you know, much like Mike Mussina. He can throw behind in the count or any count. Moves the ball around the strike zone, pitches to both sides of the plate, which is certainly an advantage. Most pitchers have one side down. Dixon able to pitch to 2.
Payoff pitch to Robbie. Followed back. Alomar 5 hits and 10 tries on 3-2 pitches. Oh, baseball is a game of statistics, isn't it?
Yes, and sometimes we get trapped by him. I know Davey Johnson says some days he wants to take those matchup sheets and throw them out the window. It's always you have to decipher those statistics, I guess. See some matchups as a player in tonight's game against Scott Kamenicki. Tim Salmon is 10 for 14 with 2 home runs. But what you want to say if you're a pitcher and a hitter has those kind of numbers off of you, that I'm due to get him out. Law of averages.
Jason Dixon's payoff pitch to Robbie Alomar. Again, sharply by Dixon. To the glove of DeSarcina. Gary DeSarcina will handle Brady Anderson and Robbie Alomar here to start the contest.
A couple of ground balls to start off the game. And the game in Baltimore, Dixon threw a lot of fly balls in that ballpark at Camden Yards, something that usually leads to your demise. Interesting to see if Dixon changes his strategy and how he attacks the Oriole lineup.
It's Eric Davis now. Eric had a rough night last night, trying to hit the flutter ball. Dennis Springer.
Well, he wasn't alone.
No, you're right about that. Eric went 0 for 4 and had an 8-game hit streak snap. That began back on the 2nd of May. Of course, now he missed the entire Seattle series before he has come back here on the West Coast swing as a DH for Davy Johnson. And it got a piece, said home plate umpire Jim Evans of Eric Davis. You see Evans right away hopping out and saying that hit him. And Eric Davis awarded first base after being hit by the Jason Dixon pitch.
It's that late movement on that fastball that we talked about. Starts off on the inside of the plate and just sort of bores in. That's the 14th Oriole hitter that has been hit this year. Of course, Hoyles and Brady Anderson 1-2 in the league. Chris Hoyles has been hit 6 times this year.
Where's Rafael now? Palmeiro trying to inch his way back up to where Rafael Palmeiro normally resides as far as a hitter with the average in the American League.
Interesting today, going into the clubhouse around 2 o'clock, I guess. Rafi was already in there looking at game films of the last time Dixon pitched against the Orioles.
Fastball on the outside corner, 1-1 on Palmeiro. Rafi with 21 RBI and 5 home runs. Of course, at about 257 as he stands in here.
And Palmeiro went 0 for 3 against Dixon in that appearance.
Hit in the air, deep to right. Salmon down in the corner near the tracks, going to have room and puts it away. So Palmeiro a little bit out in front as he flies out to end the Oriole first. Anaheim's Angels coming in to hit. Orioles strand 1. We're scoreless on HTS. At the yard, good to have you along here at Anaheim Stadium. A rather sultry, sticky May night in Southern California as Scott Kamenicki gets set to go, making his 2nd start of the year against this Anaheim ball club.
Well, the players will definitely tell you it is a short sleever. Here's an indication of the humidity level. Pretty amazing. Scott Kamenicki has 2 wins. He's already surpassed his last year's totals. Last year, of course, he just won 1 game and lost 2.
And here's a young man leading it off, the former Nebraska Cornhusker footballer Darren Erstad, who continues to impress everybody. He is kind of becoming the talk out here of this Anaheim ball club in Southern California. Of course, Mike hit the 2-run home run shot last night to jumpstart this offense.
Yeah, multi-tool player, certainly a combination of, they think, power and speed. Usually when you see bunting early in this game, we saw Alomar also square around in the first, and here the leadoff batter for the Angels doing it as an indication that both sides figure it's going to be a low-scoring game, and both trying to get an early advantage. Of course, the Orioles have pretty good numbers when they score first. They're 18-4. What it does by scoring first, you can try to eliminate the opposition's running game.
Bouncing ball to the glove of Roberto Alomar at second. He will throw out Darren Erstad. So just like Brady Anderson, Darren Erstad putting the ball in play on the ground to start it out for Anaheim.
There's 6 left-handed bats in the Angel lineup tonight. Sort of standard practice for a man to try to play as many left-handers in that lineup against a right-handed starter. But Scott Kamenicki, one of the toughest in the league against left-handed batters. hitting just 174.
So Jim Edmonds, center fielder, takes Kamenicki's breaking pitch. It stays high. Edmonds also, like Darren Erstad, 2-run home run last night against the Birds. So Terry Collins got a lot of power production from the top of his hitting lineup.
That's something the Angels have excelled in, even though their record isn't that great, 17-19. But they're 9-5 in one-run games.
Line to right center field. Eric Davis, or Tony Tarasco rather, on the go. Is going to have to play it on one hop is Jim Edmonds. Line drive base hit, collecting the first base hit of the contest. So Edmonds keeps swinging the hot bat. He's now 7 for 12 here on this Angel homestand.
Like I said, there's a number of hitters in this Angel lineup that are swinging hot bats on the homestand. Garrett Anderson, Gary DiSarcina hitting .429 and .455. Jim Edmonds .455, and that has been raised a little bit with that base hit. And Jim Wayritz back in the lineup tonight is hitting .667 on the homestand. So 5 of the 9 hitters in this Angel lineup could be categorized as being hot.
Jack Howell now stepping in. Howell getting the start at third base tonight, facing Scott Kamenicki. Howell, the veteran left-handed hitter.
And now 35 years of age, 1992 through 95, went over to Japan. Played there for 4 seasons. Had some pretty good years in Japan. 38 home runs one year.
Edmonds showed going. Now Hoyles had him for a second, hung up, but Chris didn't pull that trigger down to Rafael Palmeiro. Edmonds talking to Dave Parker about whether or not somebody missed something, Plant.
I'm not sure what's going on there. It's an indication of, well, it's probably a hit and run, swing and miss, but Edmonds just pulled up and stopped. The runner will look back on a hit and run, see what's going on at the plate. Interesting talking to Ray Miller today about last night's game, and Mike Johnson, one of the home runs hit. He was a little upset, was a missed sign. It was actually a throw over to first sign. Mike Johnson had some difficulty in picking up the sign. This is one park where there's a lot of shadows around home plate. You know, when the Orioles used to play here and Jim Palmer was on the mound, he would have the catcher, whoever it was, tape his hands with that white tape so we could see the fingers a little bit more clearly. A real frustrating game last night for the Orioles. Of course, up 5-0. Mike Johnson got off to a terrific start.
Kamenicki's 2-1 is going to go to first base. That snap tag put on by Rafael Palmeiro. He's laughing down there at not only Jim Edmonds, but first base umpire Larry McCoy, too.
Well, that was a much closer play than it appeared. It was more like just a throw over, but watch how quickly Kamenicki gets the ball there. And that is a very close play.
Angel Ball Club has stolen 30 bases on the year, and they're paced by Darren Erstad and Luis Alicea, both of them with 7.
They're both 7 for 7, so those two alone 14 out of 14. That's why the lead is of great importance to both clubs.
Jim Edmonds with a 1-out base hit with his lead at first as Kamenicki works to Jack Howell. Line drive, right center field, going to get in the gap between Brady Anderson and Tony Tarasco all the way to the wall. Larry Bowa has given Edmonds a go sign. Bordick will handle that relay in the middle of the diamond on the RBI 2-base hit off the bat of Jack Howell as he found the gap in right center field between Brady Anderson and Tony Tarasco. For Jack Howell, his 6th RBI of the year in limited playing time.
Well, almost a similar start to the game that Kamenicki started back in Baltimore against the Angels. 2 outs, nobody on, and here 1 out. It's like a straight changeup from Kamenicki, and Howell just stays right down on it. He sort of sweeps the bat through, but hits it in that gap. Brady Anderson does a nice job of hustling over and actually sort of pins it against the fence Just turns and throws in the direction of the infield. Able to hold Howell to a double. Kamenicki, his last 2 starts, all the runs he's given up have been in the first inning. In that game against Dixon back in Baltimore, he allowed 4 first-inning runs. And in his last start, he gave up a home run to start the game to Joey Cora of the Seattle Mariners, and he didn't allow a run after that. He left after 7 innings, leading 2-1. So again, Kamenicki giving up a run or runs in the first.
Right now, he's got to deal with another very tough customer with the bat. That's Jimmy Leyritz. Leyritz is off to a pretty nice start here for Terry Collins. Not playing every day. Wasn't behind the plate last night. Kamenicki's slider thrown by Jimmy Leyritz. 1-1 now on the right-handed hitting catcher for the Angels. These 2 guys were teammates in New York Yankee pinstripes for a couple of 4 years. Scott Kamenicki and Jim Leyritz know each other very well.
Leyritz, of course, a World Series hero with the Angels last year. He always felt that Buck Showalter, the manager before Joe Torre, really never gave him a chance. So they really never saw eye to eye. Felt that Leyritz was maybe too much of an individual.
Back our way as Leyritz fouls it off. We told you about the reconfiguring of Anaheim Stadium, and it certainly does look a lot different. Of course, it was the multi-sport facility out here for so many years, and our producer director Chris Glass going to swing you around a little bit with our HTS cameras and show you. See, they've taken away the entire outfield area that used to be certainly tiered up out there, and trying to give it that look of being just a baseball only facility. Mike, how's it going to affect the way the ball travels now that it's not closed in?
I'm sure it'll carry much better.
Hanging on a couple of skips to Mike Bordick, kicks it for a moment, but wound up throwing out Jim Leyritz. So Bordick stayed on it, kept the baseball in front of him, and allowed Jack Howell to advance a station. He moves up to third now with 2 outs, as Kamenicki gets Leyritz on the bouncing ball to Bordick.
Well, actually, he rushed a little bit because he had visions of throwing to third to get Howell, but also being able to compute quickly that Leyritz not running real well with that bad groin. Still has time to go to first. We talked a little bit before about the numbers Tim Salmon has against Scott Kamenicki. He is 10 for 14 in his career with 2 home runs. 714 lifetime average. So you would assume, I guess, that Kamenicki will pitch with extreme caution.
With first base open.
Salmon had a RBI single in that game in the first back in Baltimore. Eddie Murray followed that up with a 2-run single.
Pulled Salmon as he swung right through it. 1-1 now. Count on the right fielder from the Anaheim Angels. Started to become a pretty strong power guy in this lineup during the course of the last couple of years.
His 15 career home runs against the Orioles, the most against any club.
Sharply on the left side and through, base hit. So Tim Salmon picks up the 2-out RBI base hit. That is his 25th RBI of the season. He is his second on the club behind just Jimmy Leyritz. 2-0 Anaheim as they put together 3 base hits and a couple of runs against Scott Kamenicki here in the first.
Well, that's been his track record, certainly the last 3 starts. So Targum hoils away, the ball runs back down the middle of the plate, and Salmon just splits the infielders, Ripken and Bordick.
Scott Kamenicki trying to extract himself from uprising here in the first. Here's the third left-handed hitter who went deep last night, Garrett Anderson. Darren Erstad, Jim Edmonds, Garrett Anderson, all three of them with 2-run home run shots. And you put them all together and they spelled the margin of victory after they raced a 5-0 Orioles beginning. Orioles got a bounce on that breaking pitch that Kamenicki left in the dirt.
Well, the Angels a much hotter ball club with the bats than when they were back in Camden Yards. They said there's at least 5 hitters in this lineup hitting over 400 on the homestand. Showed a lot of difficulty in scoring runs back in Baltimore.
They got well in a hurry when Chicago showed up this week, didn't they?
Yeah, they had what they have a 13-run inning.
Yeah, they did.
They had 4 players get 2 hits in that inning.
Yes, sir. They got on the merry-go-round offensively, didn't they? And there were a couple of White Sox sacrificial lambs left out on the mound to bear the brunt.
Much like the Manny Alexander 16-run inning the Orioles had in Texas last year. Gary DeSarcina, Darren Erstad, Hollins, and Leyritz both had 2 hits in that inning. They sent 18 hitters to the plate.
You would have been grabbing a bat and pushing people out of the way to get up there.
I'd be afraid they'd stick me on the mound, to tell you the truth.
You're not fooling me. You would have wanted to hit.
I'd have liked to have hit.
You'd have been at that bat racket pushing people out of the way to try to get up there.
I guess maybe that's one of the regrets of my career, is that I really came along as the DH did in 1975. I always felt I could at least bunt better than the opposition pitcher if I couldn't hit better.
2-1 to Garrett Anderson. The Kamenicki fastball in for a called strike. We're even up to 2-2. Speaking of 2s, the Angels have done that here in the first. They've put 2 on the board. Rod Carew obviously liking the beginning here. The counterpart of Rick Down in the O's dugout, the hitting coach. This Angels ball club.
He could hit a little bit. There's only 3 of the last 9 players to reach 3,000 hits before their 10,000th at bat. And they are Rod Carew, Pete Rose, and George Brett.
Garrett trying to just get a piece as Tim Salmon was on the move on that 2-2 pitch.
Seemed like he could get a hit whenever he wanted to. Towards the end of, he's saying no, but I'm saying yes. You pitched him away, he'd get a base hit to the left. You pitched him in, he'd get a base hit to the right. So we used to try to pitch him down the middle and let him line out somewhere. He'd be confused. He wouldn't know which way to hit it. Then 2 or 3 times he'd go, rolling ball behind the count 0-2, and he dropped on a bunt on you when you didn't expect it.
And I'm sure a picture perfect one.
Oh, I'd walk in and pick it up, put it in your pocket.
That's right. Again with Salmon on the move. Garrett Anderson will foul off Kamenicki's 2-2 pitch, so we'll have to do it again. Just underway in Southern California on this Thursday evening after the contest. We'll swing on up into the Kingdome in the Pacific Northwest and take a look at the same matchup we had for 4 games last weekend in Camden Yards.
There are a couple of pretty good offensive players on that club.
I think so. We saw that last weekend. Rodriguez and Griffey and Martinez and Buhner will be ready, as will the O's hitters.
Of course, they have Babe Cora also.
Babe Cora. That's right. They sure do. It all happens on the Orioles television network tomorrow night to get us started at 10 o'clock. So the Space Needle there by Junior Griffey. You make sure you're with us.
Scott Erickson and Dennis Martinez facing off in the first game of that series.
Are you surprised that Dennis is going to get another start? We've been speculating this week as we made the trip. That may be it. Lou Piniella may decide no more starts for El Presidente.
Well,
get more. As Anderson lines a shot to left, base hit. So the Anaheim hitters have been on Scott Kamenicki here in the first. They've hit the baseball hard. Edmonds, Howell, Salmon, and now Garrett Anderson, and still in business with their 2-0 lead.
I mean, this is almost an instant replay of the first inning back in Baltimore that Kamenicki had against the Angels. And after he got out of that first inning, he pitched extremely well into the 7th, or finished 7 innings strongly, but he just had a tremendous amount of difficulty in the first. Eddie Murray, who bats now, batted with the bases loaded in that series. A 2-out single. Drove in a couple of runs. We looked up some stats today. Hitting with the bases loaded in his career, .413.
Pretty fair.
That's how you drive in all those runs.
Scott Kamenicki like to put a halt to it right here as he starts Murray with that first pitch fastball for a called strike.
Eddie's 5 for 10 off Kamenicki in his career, but this season against right-handed pitching, Eddie just hitting 200, 2 home runs and 7 RBIs.
Oriole outfield deep and swung around a couple of steps to right for the veteran hitsman. You see a look at Brady Anderson. Swing it over with Tony Tarasco. It's Surhoff, Anderson, and Tarasco. And that Oriole outfield tonight, and the familiar veteran infield of Ripken, Bordick, Alomar, and Palmeiro, with Hoyles behind the plate for Scott Kamenicki. Pulled the string there, and Eddie Murray out in front. Kamenicki's ahead of Murray 1-2.
Well, that's that long ball stroke that we certainly have seen plenty of over the years. Actually play Eddie very shallow in left field, and to pull in center and right and deep. See Surhoff in a few steps and towards the line.
1-2 from Kamenicki to Murray. Breaking pitch. Scott's going to get out of it to the glove of Rafael Palmeiro. So Kamenicki will do a good job to retire Murray and hold it at 2. Anaheim with 4 base hits and picking up those 2 runs. Let's go to the second. 2-0 Angels on HTS. Calling the numbers you see on your screen. Orioles baseball, and a chance to see Matt Williams, David Justice, former National Leaguers, now part of the Cleveland Indians hitting arsenal. Along with Mike Flanagan, I'm Michael Regai. Good to have you along on HTS. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you may be as we get late night with you back around Baltimore and along the Atlantic Coast region as Cal Ripken steps in to face the young right-hander Jason Dixon. Cal with a 2-run home run last night, taking over the club leadership with his 8th. Cal is hit safely in 10 of the last 13 contests. .333 clip during that amount of time.
It's always amazing to me, I guess, to you see Cal and Eddie back on the same playing fields. Their history starts way back, and when Cal broke in, Eddie really took Cal under his wing. Of course, I guess the date September 6th plays in the minds of both. September 6th, 1995, Cal broke Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive games. And the next year, in an Oriole uniform, Eddie Murray coming back from the Indians on September 6th, 1996. Hits his 500th home run off Felipe Lira. It's another common bond between these 2 great players, both certain Hall of Famers.
Ripken reaching out, spoiling that Dixon 1-2 pitch and fouling in right side.
Of course, Cal has played in now. This is his 2,354th game consecutively. Eddie Murray just going over his 3,000th, both showing amazing durability over their careers. Eddie, of course, been on the disabled list just once.
A lot of talk in the Oriole dugout following the last meeting with Jason Dixon about this young man.
Canadian born. Born in London, Ontario, now lives in New Brunswick. He's a member of the Canadian junior national team. And that year, they won the whole thing. He said that was really amazing playing against teams like Cuba, and he actually beat the U.S. in the finals. Got the win in that ball game. So it's the highlight of his young career so far.
3-2 now on Cal Ripken. Speaking of home run number 500 for Eddie Murray, this is how it looked last year at Camden Yards in the month of September, as Mike mentioned, taking Felipe Lira deep the right center field of the seats. Ripken with a drive deep center. Edmonds' turn. Edmonds to the track, leaping at the wall to pull it in. I'm not sure Jim Edmonds had to leave his feet, but he elevated a little bit and made the play. As got a good jump of the baseball and ran it down in deep center field.
He's checking the padding on that fence. Make sure there's something to bounce off. The fastball right down the middle from Dixon. As he goes back and probably feels that pad's a little hard tonight.
Here's B.J. Surhoff now. B.J. swinging one of the hottest sticks in baseball as he steps in. Surhoff up to 358. And 1 for 3 when he faced Jason Dixon back in the yard last week.
Even a couple of the outs were hit on the button. He lined out to right also in that game, and a bullet to shortstop. You just see how comfortable he looks in the batter's box. A lot of times when a hitter's struggling, he's worrying about where his shoulder is, where he's striding. He's worried more about battling himself than the opposition. But clearly, B.J. now, the war is with the pitcher on the mound.
2-0 pitch driven to deep center again. Edmonds one more time at the track to the wall. Are we talking about a carbon copy here? Almost the exact same spot. Jim Edmonds to haul in B.J. Surhoff's drive just as he did the shot off the bat of Cal Ripken. Identical spot out there where that area comes together that now Edmonds is putting a dent into out by that padding.
That's why he wanted to check that padding. You can tell by the sound of this ball off the bat. Hit on the button. You see Edmonds just puts his head down. That's why he was checking that padding. Maybe an indication of he can see what Dixon has on the mound.
Jim Edmonds, as you see, he has knocked some padding askew out there. He's taken it right off its moorings.
Well, he was checking it on the play before. He obviously felt something give, I guess, when he jumped into that wall. Actually, there's a gate right there, and it doesn't appear to be closed securely. Freddie Lynn, who also played for the California Angels when he was here. Let's probably hear their conversation. If you see me coming, open it up. It buys me a couple more feet.
Hey, I'm trying to be over there again.
But Freddie Lynn, when he was a member of the Orioles, would actually bend the poles behind the fence. They would have to be replaced every couple of months.
And did you just hear Edmonds? He said, yeah, open. I'll try to get over there and catch him if you open it up
if
for him.
one's way over the fence, open it early, and I'll go behind there and make the play.
You think they'd give that to him if he did?
I give him an A for effort.
I agree. I'll give him the effort. I'll give him the good marks for effort.
Some nights there's more business behind the fence than in front of the fence.
The refrain of all of you former pitchers.
Oh, yeah. When I had a bad game, instead of dragging the infield in the fifth, they dragged the warning track.
Let those outfielders know where they were going.
Yeah, they'd be beat.
Chris Hoyle is standing in now after Jason Dixon has given up the 2 long drives off the bats of Ripken and Surhoff. Bottom line, though, he kept it in the yard, both of them, just barely.
Well, it's the only place in the park that those balls would have stayed in, both around the 404-foot mark. Well, that would happen to a lot of balls in the gaps off me or the center fielder, and left fielder would be running. It's a common courtesy to wait a couple of seconds, let them get their breath before you throw another pitch.
Dixon missing off the outside corner. 2-1 now on Chris Hoyles. Chris at 305, back above that 300 mark with his 6 home runs and 17 RBI. Done a stellar job swinging the bat through the first 6 weeks of the season. Well, you were talking about Mike looking at tape as Rafael Palmeiro was doing today. The Orioles video coordinator Jeff Nelson on this trip, and he's back home. So Jeff's been enjoying himself. He spent some time growing up here in the Anaheim, California area, so he got to see a lot of his family and friends as the O's made their way in here.
Yeah, we're going to have a feature on Jeff later on this season to see exactly what maybe see some of those highlight films and what the players look at and try to find.
Very nice young man, engaging young guy, very well liked by the ball club. Good guy to be around, and especially when he's got those tapes rolling. Yeah, the guys like to get down there and check them out.
Well, you know, the only time people go in there is when they're struggling.
Boyles popped up the payoff pitch. Let's see if Darren Erstad has room over by the O's dugout. Put it away. Jason Dixon got touched up for a couple of long fly balls, but the bats of Ripken and Surhoff did not leave Anaheim Stadium. We'll go to the bottom of the second. 2-0 Angels on HTS. Hey, O's fans, it's really a card that you're going to need to make your baseball season complete. The official Orioles MasterCard. It's one baseball card every O's fan should have. No annual fee card is available right now by calling 1-888-3332-HIT. Get your Orioles MasterCard today. Anaheim Stadium, the spot as we come at you on HTS. Angels pushed across a couple as we say hi to you from up here in our open location. Mike, just to the right of home plate, as you'll get a shot of where our surroundings are, much lower than used to be, and certainly without any cover up
No,
here, huh?
no, I guess that doesn't rain in Southern California. Better hold true. On a good night, it'll rain peanut shells up here. We saw Sparky Anderson here last night under the umbrella, just in case.
I almost thought you were going to break into song for us, partner.
No, that's the last thing.
That's the last thing you want to do? All right. Luis Alicea leading it off here in the bottom of the second against Scott Kamenicki. Alicea, Mike and I were talking about last inning. He and Darren Erstad are tied for the team lead with 7 stolen bases apiece. 7-4-7 as he stands in. Doing a pretty nice job, they say, out of the Anaheim dugout at second base.
So you want to keep him off the base pass, certainly leading off an inning. Angels already up 2-0 in this game.
Kamenicki's 1-2 to Alicea. Just missed with that breaking pitch. The Oriole defense very shallow for Luis. Doesn't hit the baseball with a lot of power production at the plate. See it. B.J. Surhoff playing as much as he would a right-handed hitter. 3-2 now on Alicea.
One thing Scott Kamenicki's worked on between starts is that overhand curveball. Felt that's the one pitch that's probably hasn't been up to the way it has been in the past before the elbow problem.
Line shot left center field. This is in the gap. Going to get by Surhoff and kick all the way to the wall. Let's see Alicea. No, he's going to turn second base and stay right there as Surhoff hustled it back in to cutoff man Mike Bordick. So the Angels continue to be on Scott Kamenicki. That is their second 2-base hit of the evening and their 5th hit overall as Alicea leads it off with the double to start the second.
Well, Kamenicki goes 3-2 and then just does not want to walk. So I guess you could say it gives in to Alicea. Throws a strike. But Alicea right on it. Does not try to pull it and drives it to the gap. Alicea wants third base coach Larry Bowa to help him out with Bordick behind him on the coverage. Alicea has stolen 7 bases and has not been thrown out. Has stole third once. And with nobody out, Ripken will play in way shallow at third. Also, Bordick will almost be right behind Alicea, anticipating the sacrifice.
Shortstop Gary DiSarcina now facing Kamenicki. That's a called strike. That Kamenicki fastball. One thing you were talking about taking a walk a moment ago. I don't think that Gary DiSarcina has that on his mind whatsoever.
Well, in 126 at-bats this year, he has walked once. Very much a free swinger. Usually the at-bat is over by the second or third pitch he sees. He's a very dangerous hitter in these sort of situations.
Showing bunt and went right through it, so Kamenicki's ahead 0-2.
We just had a score update from Texas. The Yankees are up 7-2 in the 7th. So again, I think the Orioles sort of looking in that rear view mirror.
And we'll take a look at all of a Thursday around the major leagues coming up on our SK scoreboards. We'll do that a few times for you throughout the course of the evening, so you just keep it locked down here with us on HTS and bring you everything you need to know, not only about this one, but from around Major League Baseball as well. Kamenicky going to bluff Alicea back to the bag. Scott hasn't started on the road, Mike, since way back in the Metrodome 15 days ago on April 30th. And of course, he got the win that evening when the O's did put a lot of runs on the board for him as they beat Minnesota 12-3. But Kamenicky hasn't been the guy that's gotten much run support this year.
No, he's the guy. There always is one per team, it seems. It just doesn't get the run support. You add in those runs, you talk about the one game where he did receive a few, but still his average is about 2.7 per 9 innings. It's also an indication of how well Kamenicky has pitched. He's not had a lot of runs to work with.
And he's behind 2-0 here. DiSarcina line drive, base hit right field. Alicea is going to have to check in at third as Tony Tarasco fires it back in to cutoff man Rafael Palmeiro. So DiSarcina not only went the other way down in the count, he did one better than that. Put runners at the corners with his base hit with nobody out here in the second. Base hit number 6 as Anaheim's going through the order one time with 6 base hits.
Yeah, really in that situation, if you're manager Terry Collins, you want DiSarcina to swing the bat, take a chance at getting a hit. And the worst thing that happens in that situation is that it's a ground ball to Alomar, and Alicea still moves to third base with only 1 out. This way he ends up at third, and there's nobody out. Sure, Davey checking to see who he has available tonight. Of course, they used Mike Johnson, who's been their long man, and also Sean Bosky in the game last night. So we certainly would like to get 5 or 6 innings for sure out of Kamenicky tonight.
Left and right-handers in a tough spot right here. He's got to deal with a hot swinging Darren Erstad with runners at the corners. Misses away as Erstad retired on a bouncing ball to Robbie Alomar to start the contest. But as I mentioned to you, when he stepped in, he was on an 8-game hit streak and looking to produce more for the Angels, who have had the bats warm with base hits here the first time through against Kamenicky. Lifted in the air to right. Tarasco's got it tracked. Let's watch Alicea. Here he comes. Tony's throw to the plate. Got by Hoyles, but not in time. Backed up by Kamenicky. The sacrifice fly, RBI off the bat of Darren Erstad. 3-0 Anaheim. RBI number 19 on the year for the former Nebraska footballer Darren Erstad.
It really appeared like Tony Tarasco. See how deep this ball is. And he just winds up and guns it in the direction of home plate. Actually ended up being a pretty close play. Well, it makes Alicea sort of go around him to score. And Kamenicky alertly backs up the play.
Jimmy Edmonds now. Edmonds hitting against Kamenicky. He got it started, the Anaheim offense, with his base hit and scored a run last inning back in the first. Left-handed hitting center fielder. He's already made 2 very nice plays with the glove in this contest, and he too, like we were talking about Tim Salmon, has the ability to drive the ball out of parks.
You see Kamenicky a little upset with the strike zone. With a call given by crew chief Jim Evans behind the plate tonight. Kamenicky will have to keep DiSarcina close with 1 out. DiSarcina does have stolen base speed. He's stolen 2 out of 3 this year.
Edmonds awaits the 1-0. Good cut, fouled it off. Mike, you know, we were talking about Kamenicki a moment ago. When you were throwing, were you cognizant if maybe you were pitching good baseball, quality starts, but say you were losing a couple 2-1, 3-2 in a row, were you cognizant of that? Was it hard to block out, or did you block it out of your mind and not worry about the run support you were getting?
Well, I think when you're a younger pitcher, you certainly worry about things like that. You worry about everything you can't control, and as you go on in your career, you realize in this league a pitcher is really a goalie. You're never on offense. You never get to swing the bat. Totally up to win with how many runs your team's. That's a second-grade play tonight. One earlier with Jim Edmonds on first. This time, Kamenicki gets him. One way to help out your own cause is be able to have a good move and field your position. See, real quick with his feet, the key to having a great move. The play earlier, that probably a pretty good chance to pick off Edmonds also in the first.
Now, Alicea, or rather DiSarcina, picked off 1-3. Kamenicki to Rafael Palmeiro. And now the bases are clean of Angels with 2 out as Jim Edmonds goes back to battling Scott Kamenicki. So the best thing is, though, I mean,
you can't worry about it.
You don't control it.
You try not to, because what you fall into, and it did happen to me a couple times early in my career, I'd lose 2-1 and 1-0 and say, I have to pitch better than this to win. And you can't fall into that trap because you tried too hard.
Kamenicki popped Edmonds up into short right. Tony Tarasco called off Roberto Alomar to put it away. The Angels add one more. We'll go to the third. 3-0 Anaheim on HTS. Orioles contest best enjoyed in the company of friends and family. Make sure you plan your group outing to Camden Yards by calling the Orioles Group Sales Department at area code 410-685-9800. You just got to enjoy Orioles baseball because there's nothing like a day at the Yard. We're going to go to the third out here in the constructed Anaheim Stadium. As the refurbishing continues out here, we've shown you a couple of shots. We'll continue to swing you around this ballpark late night with you back on the East Coast here on this Thursday. There it is. Now that used to be all double decked, as the Rams used to play, of course, their NFL contest in here when this city had an NFL franchise. A couple of years it had 2. Now it doesn't have any.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a supply and demand with seats today. What you're saying, the trend is to smaller, I guess, attendance numbers or capacities in ballparks. Here it's just, you see so many empty seats because there are so many seats, you know.
That's the whole point, right? There used to be double this amount.
Yes, there's less seats. You make more of a, you know, you make up your mind you're going to go early, buy season tickets because tickets are harder to come by.
Here's Tony Tarasco leading off the O's third. Looked at that Jason Dixon change and took it away. 2-1 on Tony. Tarasco stationed in right field. Of course, he unloaded the 3-run home run blast in the Game 1 win over the Oakland A's on the first game of this trip. Tony up to 250 now. Bouncing it to the right side to the glove of Luis Alicea. Flip to Erstad, retires Carrasco. O's still looking for their first base hit off young Jason Dixon.
We were talking with Ray Miller in the dugout yesterday, and we were talking about the '79 playoffs out here and talking about a particular play with McGregor on the mound, and he had gone to the mound to talk to him, a pivotal part of Game 4 in that series. And the next pitch was a double play grounder, and the next pitch was a pop-up. Pat Kelly hit a home run, and on we went to the World Series. We talked about how loud this ballpark was that day.
Mike Bordick lifted into short right, coming hard. Salmon with a slide to put it away. Tim Salmon not playing real deep to begin with for Mike Bordick, and with that now slide that all outfielders seem to be using, came hard toward the diamond to put the Bordick looping drive into his glove.
Well, Salmon is a terrific defensive outfielder, even though he is a big fella. Covers a lot of ground, and what he gets to, he usually catches.
Well, back to the top for Brady Anderson now to face Jason Dixon. 2 out, nobody on in the Oriole third. Brady took the change, and it missed.
Well, I guess so far you'd have to call it a pretty tight strike zone being exhibited by Jim Evans, the home plate umpire. You see Dixon paying attention to last night. Brady Anderson had some first pitch fastballs to handle, and tonight he started them off first time with a breaking ball, this time with a straight changeup. But he's also fallen behind in the count 2-0. Brady just may get that fastball.
Wasn't in the strike zone, and Anderson laid off. 3-0 on Brady. He's reached base safely in 33 of the 35 contests which he's played. Of course, this is game number 38. It's number 36 for Brady. And he's had a couple. See if he gets a green light. He took ball 4. So Anderson again reaching base safely. 29th walk of the year for Brady, and so extend that streak I just mentioned to you now, reaching base in 34 of the 36 he's participated in.
He has an amazing statistic. He has already been on base coming into tonight 81 times. The last time against Dixon in Baltimore, he was on 3 of 4 against Dixon, and then got on later on the game against Mike James. So 4 out of 5 in that game.
We'll give Robbie Alomar a chance now to swing here in the top of the third. Roberto bounced out to shortstop Gary DiSarcina back in the first. He's in the books now, is Robbie.
The only one to do it at Camden Yards.
Lays down that bunt. Leyritz on it out in front of the plate. Guns to Darren Erstedt to get Robbie Alomar by a step. Leyritz hopping out in front of the plate, flashing that good arm to fire out Alomar. That'll do it for the O's. They strand 1. We'll go to the bottom of the third. 3-0 Anaheim. All right, let's take a swing around our SK quality scoreboard. Taste the difference SK makes. Chicago got a couple in the ninth against Norm Charlton. Beat Seattle the final at 4-3 before we head to the Kingdome. Detroit Tigers beating up Kevin Napier 9-6 over Kansas City in the 7th. Ditto the New York Yankees pounding Texas by 5 in the 8th down in Arlington. And Milwaukee has doubled up on Oakland early up Northern California. National League, Chicago beats San Diego 8-2. Pittsburgh over Colorado 4-3. Montreal's leading San Fran 8-6. They are in the 9th. Here we're in the bottom of the third. And the Anaheim Angels have forged a 3-0 lead on Scott Kamenicki and the Orioles by ringing up 6 base hits through the first couple innings. Here's a man that had an RBI double. Back his first trip, leading off the third baseman Jack Howell.
Well, usually Kamenicki's strength is pitching into left-handers. His outstanding location this year. But not so tonight. Has missed and has fallen behind in the count when he's tried to do so.
He's behind Jack Howell now, 3-0.
Another one of those hot Angel hitters here on this homestand.
4 straight pitches Kamenicki lost. Jack Howell. That's the first walk that Scott Kamenicki has issued tonight. He's getting through that thick part of this Anaheim hitting lineup, having to deal with Leyritz and Salmon and Garrett Anderson. After walking Howell here to start the third. Leyritz has already taken opportunity to really beat up on his former New York Yankee teammates. Here in the couple of series, the Yanks were out here in Anaheim, and then even back in the South Bronx at Yankee Stadium, Leyritz went to swinging the bat against him pretty well.
He's always been able to hit. He really hasn't been giving much respect behind the plate, but this year he's 10 out of 20 and throwing base runners out or runners out. But he's finally been given that chance really to be the everyday catcher. He even transferred while he was in college. He left the University of Kentucky after 1 year because he didn't feel he would catch every day.
See if Hoyles has room over by that ledge with a reach over the top of that screen. Chris Hoyles helping out Scott Kamenicki by making the grab off the Jim Leyritz pop-up. So one catcher doing in the other here in the Anaheim third.
Well, that's something that's different in this ballpark this year. That safety wire was not here last season. Used to be the field really started at that concrete area. That's a great play by Chris. When your pitcher's struggling, it really is a wonderful thing when your defense can make some terrific plays, and that's one of them.
Kamenicki gets some help from his battery mate Chris Hoyles. Now he's got to face powerful right-handed hitter Tim Salmon. Salmon delivered a 2-out RBI base hit his first time. RBI number 25 on the year for Salmon, and you see he is, as we said, producing the power numbers for this ball club.
He's the first Angel to have 330 home run seasons. Once again, Kamenicki falling behind 2-0. See Scotty trying to slow the pace down, find that rhythm. He's been unable to stay in the windup for very long in any inning. He's yet obviously to have a 1-2-3 inning. But he's helped himself already with a pickoff.
On Salmon as he misses into this 28-year-old right-handed hitter. Scott Kamenicki just hasn't had an easy inning yet so far here through 3. We'll see with this 3-0 lead, maybe if Salmon has that green light. He did with the shot just outside that bag and foul down the line and left. I saw that coming, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's been swinging real well at the plate. Kamenicki's been struggling. That's one of the things, you know, it sounds a little strange, but the wilder you are, the more strikes you have to throw. You know, on a good night when you're hitting the corners with tremendous accuracy, then you can afford to expand the strike zone. But at nights you're struggling with the strike zone, you almost have to take a chance. I know Jimmy Key always had a great philosophy on pitching. The same thing. When I'm wild, I'm going to throw the ball down the middle and hope it moves to a corner, but I can't afford to be falling behind 2-0 and 3-1 all night. Very difficult way to pitch. So what you have to do is sort of change your game plan in midstream and say, hey, I'm going to throw a first pitch strike. I'm going to have to shoot for the middle, and maybe I'll use my defense a little bit more than I had to last start, where he had the great stuff where he walked no one and struck out 7. Really had pinpoint control all night long. So far he hasn't been able to settle into that groove.
A off pitch coming to Salmon. There goes Howell. Cut on and missed. Hoyles throw. Not in time. Orioles thought they had Jack Howell dead to rights. Laid out with that headfirst dive and got in safely under the tag of Robbie Alomar. Stolen base, Jack Howell.
Well, Howell gets a decent jump. You see him look back, and he knows what's going on at the plate, but Alomar has to come up in front of the bag and take the throw. Hard to tell from that angle if he was able to get the tag down.
Stolen base number 31 on the year now for the Angels as a ball club. Chris Hoyles thought that he had that throw where it needed to be to get Jack Howell. There's Garrett Anderson now with Howell in scoring position after the stolen base. Garrett Anderson, his first time with a base hit. Angels already with 6 of them, and they've put 3 runs on the board against Scott Kamenicki. Anderson carrying that 10-game hit streak now. So a called strike. 1-1 on the Angels left fielder. A lot of trade rumors have been swirling around this young man, Mike, and yet he's saying, hey, well, I'm a 347 hitter. The thing is, they would like to see a little bit more power production off his bat. Maybe not the best arm in the game of baseball, although we saw him throw out a runner at Camden Yards last week.
He's more of a line drive alley hitter, but, you know, to me, a young hitter like this that, number one, I guess you could think of the Palmeiro situation where the Cubs let him go, figured he was not going to be a home run hitter. Ends up hitting 39 the last 2 years for the Orioles. Davey working on his glove work. I think he got a little. Just got hurt a little bit.
Yeah, skipper's got to shake that off.
I don't know what I'm doing trying to catch that ball. It's tough when you're a second baseman. You know, you just want to get in front of it and block it and make the play.
Jack Howell with his lead at second. 2 out. Kamenicki coming to Garrett Anderson. Driven well down the line in right. Deep in the corner and just hooking foul. Ball Club, a couple games under 500 at 17 and 19 as we start play tonight. 5 games off the pace of Seattle, and the Mariners, as we told you, have lost today. So Terry Collins guys starting to swing the bats a little bit better. 2 on Anderson. Guy was born and reared right here in Los Angeles, California. Out runs full again, and Scott Kamenicki is going to run the string out with Garrett Anderson.
And clearly watching Kamenicki's body language, you can tell he's rather upset with himself. We talk about it a lot. When a pitcher's in a good groove, he really just focuses in on the catcher, and the body language, I guess, is everything is just real positive to the plate. When you're struggling, and it's where's my elbow, where's my arm, delivery never feels good.
Payoff pitch, lifted in the air, deep down the line in right. Foul ball. Now it looks from that angle like that baseball is being picked up in fair territory. Although, as you saw the call from first base umpire Larry McCoy, he was on it and emphatically said it did not hook around that fair pole down there.
Well, what I did was watch Garrett Anderson at the plate, and he really didn't leave, which is an indication to me that he thought it was foul, and that's what I used to watch on the mound. I wouldn't watch the ball. I'd watch the hitter's reaction. They'll tell you.
Bouncing ball to the glove of Robbie Alomar at second. He backs up on the outfield grass and throws out Garrett Anderson. So Scott Kamenicki gets through the third unscathed. Let's go to the fourth. 3-0 Anaheim on HTS. HTS coverage of Orioles baseball brought to you by Bell Atlantic 9X Mobile. They are the cellular leader. By Montgomery Ward, where you'll find great brands at great prices, and by the National Capital Area Jeep Eagle dealer. Even the young ones here in Southern California enjoying baseball. Hope you are too as you watch it with us late night back home right here on HTS. Eric Davis to lead off the fourth against Jason Dixon. Dixon working on a 3-0 lead as Anaheim got 2 in the first and 1 in the second. Orioles not at a base hit against the young right-hander out of Canada.
Well, he didn't score into the 5th off him and back in Baltimore when Hoyle singled and Bordick homered. So sort of picking up where he left off, throwing a lot of fastballs. Little cut fastball. He runs away from right-handers, in on left-handers, and a nice 2-seam sinker. But also in those 2 starts, he's been giving early run support, something we talked about in the open. Nearly 7 runs a game when he starts.
Breaking pitch hit sharply to the glove of Howell, who backhands. Long throw across the diamond. Got Eric Davis. Jack Howell flagging down Eric Davis's hard hit ground ball. Another thing I notice about Erstad too, Mike, it looks like you talk about a lot. Everything's kind of free, easy, fluid, tight, compact delivery, not a lot of wasted motion.
Exactly right. Not much wrong to go wrong with the delivery. Straight back on the rubber, ready to go. He's an indication of someone in a good groove. One and one on Rafael Palmeiro. Rafi
Lied out to Tim Salmon his first time.
For 4 is Palmeiro against Jason Dixon. Maybe more due to Rafi being cool than Dixon making perfect pitches. Timing is everything in the game. You want to catch a club when it's cool. Certainly his best hitters are cool.
Palmeiro saying during the course of the last homestand that when I break out, opposition is going to have to pay for it, because when I get hot, I'm going to get real hot after going through this dry spell. And we've been documenting, Mike, that Rafi's approaching now 100 trips to the plate since his last home run back on April the 22nd against the Chicago White Sox. That was when he hit his 5th, and he's still sitting right there. And he may have just ended that right here. Oh yeah, from our mouth to Rafael's back. See you later. Solo home run shot number 6 on the year for Rafael Palmeiro as he jumped all over that 3-2 pitch and drove it out of the yard in a real big hurry. Solo bomb for Palmeiro, his 6th. 3-1 Anaheim. We should talk about that stuff a little bit more, guys, if they happen to be in droughts, huh?
If they can hear us, which he probably did. I guess that couple hours of watching tape this afternoon paid off. See the target from Leyritz to the outside. The ball ends up on the inside half and up.
First hit of the night for the Orioles, and it goes the distance. Rafael Palmeiro's 6th home run of the year. Cal Ripken sharply to the right of DiSarcina. He'll backhand and gun across to get Ripken by a step and a half. So Gary DiSarcina went to the hole. 3 balls have been hit sharply off Dixon, Davis, Palmeiro's home run, and now Ripken here in the 4th. They'll get B.J. Surhoff to the plate against Jason Dixon.
See those numbers on the road. 3rd best in the league. Batting average on the road, 23 for 55 coming into tonight. Drove Jim Edmonds into the fence in center the first time up.
And almost through that fence in center field. Edmonds met with the plastic covering out there that he almost won the battle with. 1-2 on Surhoff. What have they done out there? They're just letting it go. I'm afraid that it's early in the contest. They may have another Edmonds sighting out there.
I think they draped that sort of plastic covering where those 2 gates meet.
Breaking pitch. Dixon missing the outside corner. 2-2 on BJ.
It's an indication of how good this Oriole lineup when you have someone like Surhoff hitting in the 6th, 7th spot most times in the order.
Line to the gap in left center field, base hit. Let's see if Surhoff goes for a pair. Oh yeah, he will, as it got between Edmonds and Anderson and scooted all the way to the wall. B.J. Surhoff continuing his 8th double of the year as the line drives continue to rain loud and long off the left fielder's bat.
Really is a thing of beauty when a hitter is in that hot streak. See the head right down on it. Actually, the back knee bends down to go get the pitch. Just Nikes it into the alley. An easy double for BJ.
Surhoff at second with 2 down for Chris Hoyles. Hoyles like to pick up the RBI base hit here and make this a little bit tighter against Jason Dixon. That good fastball popped the mid of Jim Leyritz for a called strike. Eastern Michigan University product. In that school's Hall of Fame is Chris Hoyles. Grew up not too far from the Ypsilanti, Michigan campus, which is next door to Ann Arbor, down in northwest Ohio, around the Toledo area. Hoyles with a drive to deep center. Edmonds going to track at the wall. Is going to pull it in near that 386. Chris Hoyles made a bid deep to the alley in right center field. Edmonds ran it down. Palmeiro's home run gets one back. Go to the bottom of the fourth. 3-1 Anaheim on HTS. It's time for our first Miller Lite Baseball highlight of the night. You need pictures. Rafael Palmeiro, 3-2 pitch. Watch him just hit all over this, crushed it, and ended that long home run drought that Rafi had been in. Last one came on April 22nd. So he went the better part of 3 weeks, but he finally found the groove. Home run number 6. That our Miller Lite highlight of the evening. To this point, we're in the bottom of the fourth now. 3-1. Anaheim on top as the DH Eddie Murray steps in and looks at a Scott Kamenicki strike. Eddie ended the first by bouncing out to Rafael Palmeiro. Kamenicki's slider under his hands. Chuck Merriweather said no, he did not offer. 1-1 on Murray.
You know, one of the Angel hitters that have been cool of late has been Eddie Murray. Just 2 for 12 on the homestand. So they were Eddie's 6th player to reach 3,000 games.
Bouncing ball to the right of Robbie Alomar. Fire out Eddie Murray. That's 1 for Scott Kamenicki here in the fourth. Little Luis Alicea. Terry Collins, second baseman. 2-base hit for Luis. Scored a run his first time. Angels got 3 to start this one out. 2 in the first, 1 in the second against Scott Kamenicki. The Orioles starter Rafael Palmeiro got the O's on the board last half inning.
Kamenicki still fighting the strike zone, falling behind Alicea 2-0. He went 3-2 on Alicea last time before he hit a double in the alley. That was leading off the second inning.
Now.
The thing is, once you know, if you're all over the strike zone, then when you do finally throw a close pitch, invariably you don't get the call. It's a pretty close pitch from Kamenicki.
Called strike 3-1 on Alicea. It'll be Scott Erickson looking for his 7th win of the year tomorrow night against former Bird Dennis Martinez up in the Kingdome. Jimmy Key looks for his 8th against Scott Sanders, who Lou Piniella is going to give a start to on Saturday. Called strike 2, and then the rematch that we're all anticipating. Mike Messina gunning for his 6th win of the year against Randy Johnson, also looking for his 6th. Both of the aces coming in at 5-1, and they'll match up on Sunday. That's the 3 out of the Kingdome. Kamenicki battled back to 3-2 and then lost Luis Alicea. The base on balls with 1 out here in the Anaheim fourth as Mike Johnson gets a seat in that far right corner of the O's dugout.
He wants another chance. That's one of the things about being a starting pitcher. You have to wait 4 more days before you get that chance. Asked Davey Johnson today what the plans were from Johnson. Was he back in? And really didn't say. Actually, one of the first things he said, he wanted to know how Rocky Carpenter did. He said certainly Mike Johnson earned that start last night. I think we'll all agree with that. You really can't be too hard on Mike Johnson today in grading him out. First, major league start, a lot to deal with. Sort of your life's dream coming true.
Yankee going back to work over there. He's already picked off the man that's at the plate right now, shortstop Gary DiSarcina, now going after Alicea.
I feel like I'm sort of a trivia question with my first major league start. I made my, let's see, I guess the way it should go was name the only pitcher that made his first major league start in a National League ballpark but never played in the National League.
Called strike on DiSarcina. Name the only pitcher to make his first major league start in a National League ballpark
but never
played in the National League. You already given us the answer,
right?
You, but now we're going to figure
the
out
circumstances.
Why you would start a regular season game.
Regular season game.
Why you would start a regular season game in a National League park. All right, I think I got this. The New York Yankees were getting Yankee Stadium renovated. They played in Shea.
You're exactly right. 1975.
Okay.
That was good. I got called up September 1st that year, waited 30 days, and then Earl said you can have a start last day of the season. So I had plenty of rest.
The month of September.
Yeah.
DiSarcina reached out and lined it down the line and left between Ripken and the bag. Alicea will motor into third on the two-base hit by DiSarcina. Now, I won't say that's a great piece of hitting because he took a pitch 6 inches off the outside corner, Mike, and flipped the bat over and lined it between Cal and the bag as Cal was kind of drawn in even with the bag.
Well, it's much like pitching to Ozzie Guillen, free swinger. The ball, like you said, was clearly out of the strike zone. Just goes out and hooks it. Well, he just puts it in play. Finds a favorable location to hit it in.
Third double of the night for Angel hitting. This one off the bat of Gary DiSarcina. Now let's see how Davy Johnson wants to play this now. Back to the top for the strong hitting first baseman Darren Erstad. You see Alomar and Bordick are deep up the middle. They're going to give up a run for an out here on the ground. Ripken and Palmeiro in at the corners.
Ripken way off the line at third base. Palmeiro in at first. They play Erstad to pull the ball, certainly on the infield.
So Minicki works that outside edge for the called strike. 1-1 on Darren Erstad. He sacrificed fly, RBI last time. He's 0 for 1 officially. And could pick up that 19th RBI of the year for him. The Angels are looking for a little bit more. You see that shot of the traffic at third and second in the form of Luis Alicea and Gary DiSarcina. Popped Erstad up. Scott Kamenicki got a good pitch there that he wanted and popped up Darren Erstad. No advancement. Now he's got a chance to keep it right here, but he's going to have to get through the tough bat of Jim Edmonds with first base open here and 2 out now.
Looks like a straight changeup from Kamenicki. Erstad just out in front, drags the bat through the strike zone. He's not able to get enough on it to get it to the outfield, even though he did hit a sacrifice fly of Kamenicki in the second. Not able to come through in a 1-out situation. Kamenicki now with some breathing room where he knows one quality pitch he can get out of this jam unscathed. And the Oriole infield can play back. And he also does have a base open. So he can pitch very carefully to Jim Edmonds.
Chris Hoyles with a good stop on that Kamenicki breaking pitch that scooted in front of Chris.
One of those plays that sort of go unnoticed.
Well, you want a statistic for that, and I agree with you.
We have them for everything else in the game.
You're right.
The pitcher has to have confidence in his catcher that he can block his best breaking pitch. Otherwise, he'll eliminate it. So you have to have that trust in Hoyles. And certainly, we've seen him block one of those with a bare hand this year.
1-0 to Edmonds. Make it 2-0 now to the slick fielding center fielder. Saw Jim make a couple of nice grabs off the bats of Cal Ripken and B.J. Surhoff. He was third in the AL last year, Mike, with a .997 fielding percentage among American League outfielders, and went on the DL a couple of times. So he's a pretty multi-talented, multi-tool guy here in Anaheim. Swung right through. Kamenicki's offering 2-1 on Edmonds.
I thought Kamenicki took a little off the 2-0 fastball. Edmonds checking with Jim Evans. So was that a little low? But he gave it. That was his home run swing. Of course, he hits out of that wide stance. Really just plants both feet. Barely moves that front leg. Sort of locked in. No stride at all. Really just hits from the waist up.
Took something off again. It's Scott Kamenicki. A little up in the zone, but he's leveled that count off on Edmonds at 2-2. And we just got that shot with Edmonds, and you saw him spread out at the plate, and you can see it right there. If our colleague Tom Davis, and I'm sure he is, Tommy, I'm not sure you'd like the home unis of the Angels much better than you did the road uniforms that you so eloquently critiqued last week at home in the yard.
One of the reasons Edmonds went to the spread out stance, he struck out a lot out of a more, I guess, conventional stance. Felt he overstrided a lot into the pitch. And this keeps him from being fooled as much by the off-speed pitches.
Kamenicki got him, went away from him, and punched out Jim Edmonds. Scott Kamenicki leaves 2 on as he got both Erstad and Edmonds to end the 4th. 3-1 Anaheim, and we come back for the 5th right here on HTS. Orioles fans, listen up now. Everything you wanted to know about your favorite team is on the O's official internet website, provided by Bell Atlantic Internet Solutions. For Orioles stats, history, ticket info, and much more, visit today at www.theorioles.com. Our producer director Chris Glass is here. So is Mike Flanagan. I'm Michael Regai. Good to have you along as we go to the 5th now. Anaheim on top 3-1. Tony Tarasco lead it off against young right-hander Jason Dixon. Tarasco has driven it hard to center field. Edmonds laid out and made a sensational diving catch. Talked about him as he was at the plate a moment ago, being one of the top American League glovemen in the outfield, and he shows why again tonight, taking maybe extra bases away from Tony Tarasco.
Well, he's been Jason Dixon's best friend tonight. Certainly another terrific play by Edmonds. Very demoralizing to an offense when you continually hit the ball hard and have nothing to show for it. Frustration level starts to set in. That's one of the things Jim Palmer talks about it a lot. When you're getting a lot of fly balls to the big part of the field, center field, you're in a pretty good groove. Hitters aren't able to get in front and pull because they're not exactly sure what's coming. And Dixon really has been a model of consistency all season long. He's allowed 3 earned runs or less in 7 of his 8 starts. And I guess part of that's due to terrific defense. It's a confidence factor. Dixon's around the plate, not running very deep into the counts. Your defense is on his toes. I'm certainly sure Edmonds is on his toes, and center has handled a lot of chances.
Mike Bordigal lifted in the air to the glove of Tim Salmon and right. Edmonds and Salmon have handled the putouts here in the Orioles 5th. 2 down, bases empty for Brady Anderson.
Well, that's 8 fly balls to the outfield so far in this game, much as when Jimmy Key pitches or Scott Erickson, the infielders are anticipating every ball being hit to them. Dixon more of a fly ball type pitcher.
Brady's 0 for 1 officially. Bounced out to Gary DiSarcina to start it. Drew a walk his second trip facing this young man, the right-hander Jason Dixon. Fly ball left field. Every one of the Angel outfielders will handle the putout here. Garrett Anderson this time as Jason Dixon's out of the fifth. We're halfway home. 3-1 Anaheim on HTS. Hails fans, pregame party at Camden Yards is a wonderful way to start off any Orioles baseball game. The O's party facilities offer a variety of options for your entertainment needs, including game tickets. Book your baseball party today by calling the number you see on your screen. Orioles baseball, just nothing like a day at the Yards. Scott Kamenicki's trying to hold it right here. Orioles down a couple at 3-1. She looks at Jack Howell, Jim Leyritz, Tim Salmon.
He's thrown 84 pitches through 4 innings, an average of 21 an inning. Very much on the high side, but certainly made a couple of terrific pitches this last half inning. Getting Erstad to pop out and Edmonds to strike out to prevent any further damage.
Jack Howell will roll it over and bounce it to the glove of Robbie Alomar. One down in the fifth.
Much like the game Kamenicki pitched in Baltimore against the Angels. Gave 4 runs in the first in that one. A little bit too much, but Kamenicki was able to pitch into the 7th inning. He's a survivor. Battled back from maybe career-threatening elbow surgery. Has really come all the way back.
He's facing his former, as we talked about, Yankee teammate now, Jimmy Leyritz. Leyritz is 0 for 2 on the night. Kamenicki's got him both times by the ground out and a pop out. Now 33 years of age is Jimmy Leyritz. And has the monumental World Series memories from last October. Maybe the most dramatic home run of the entire 1996 baseball season. His 3-run blast off Mark Wohlers down in Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta.
Well, the year before that, he had a home run in the 15th inning off Tim Belcher to beat Seattle in Game 2 of the Division Series. But openly has said that is not Buck Showalter's type of player. See the little bat twirl that he does after every pitch. Said that Showalter didn't like his players to be, I guess, so outward or outgoing. Feels he's found a home here in California.
Grew up in the Cleveland suburb of Lakewood, Ohio. 3-1 from Kamenicki to Leyritz. Busting his bat and popped him up. Robbie Alomar, short center field, will put it away. That's 2 down in the Anaheim fifth. Scott Kamenicki, Mike, has a chance to retire the side in order here for the first time this evening if he can get Tim Salmon.
Well, Scotty needs an easy inning, that's for sure. And he's doing against the 3, 4, 5 hitters in this Angel lineup. Appears that Kamenicki still struggling with his mechanics, but is somehow has been able to get it done. Never fails to go 2-0 on a big hitter like Tim Salmon. He seems to step out of the box and stretch. Almost like I want to be real loose for this swing.
Ready to turn it all loose, maybe. And a straight change from Scott Kamenicki. Tim Salmon, the good hitter as he is, said, no, that's not a strike I want to swing at. 2-0.
Now, the good hitters don't get themselves out.
The 95 season really the breakthrough year for this guy. 34 home runs and 105 RBI and hit .330. Chris Hoyle is going to go have a chat with Scott Kamenicki right now as they try to make sure they stay on the same page here with Salmon at the plate.
Oh, what they're saying is we just threw him a 2-0 changeup and he just took it like he knew it was coming. Do we stay with it? Do you want to change? What do you got in mind here? I'm not exactly sure. Great instincts on the part of Chris Hoyle. Go out if you're not sure or feel like you're not on the same page. Go out and talk it over. Kamenicki has been able to somehow stay in this game, and Orioles are really right in it, just down 3-1. Really would like to keep it right there.
Called strike 2. Kamenicki has leveled that count off now by finding a good spot against Tim Salmon, battling back from 2-0.
Pretty amazing that the game within a game. He throws him a 2-0 changeup and he takes it like he knows it's coming, and then they go out and throw him a fastball right down the middle and he takes it again. So clearly guessing wrong in the last two.
Came back with the fastball and missed in. 3-2 on Salmon.
Oh, at that count again. 3 at bats for Salmon tonight. 3-3 and 2 counts.
Payoff pitch coming. Lost him. He walked Luis Alicea and Jack Howell tonight, and now has issued the free pass to Tim Salmon. Third walk issued by Scott Kamenicki.
And those are the frustrating walks. Falls behind 2-0, battles his way back even to 2-2, goes 3-2, and then losing him. Which you'll say many times, I wish I would have walked him on 4 pitches. If I knew I was going to do that, it saved me a lot of aggravation.
How many times we see a pitcher go 3-0 and maybe gets back 3-2, 3 or 4 foul balls, and then you finally lose them and you're throwing, what, 10 pitches?
Yeah, I'd much rather give up a base hit when I've worked my way back to that point than a walk. Very frustrating.
Garrett Anderson at the plate. Anderson had a base hit his first time. 1 for 2 on the night for the left-handed swinging left fielder. 1-1 as Kamenicki misses. We're under siege here, Mike. Get ready to take cover.
Oh, what happened?
You know those peanuts we were talking about?
No.
Oh, they've started to rain down from the sky.
We see a number of, actually all the ushers around the ballpark wear helmets, and now we have a good idea why.
Well, they're hard hats.
Yeah, they're helmet deflector or peanut deflectors.
On the move is Tim Salmon. Good piece of hitting. Garrett Anderson bounced that base hit through the departed Mike Bordick. Bordick went to cover, left some open spaces, and Anderson went that way with a base hit to left. So a 2-out uprising here for the Angels with runners at the corners now for Eddie Murray.
Well, he crosses up the coverage. The Orioles infield will determine who's going to cover on a stolen base attempt. And in this situation, Bordick was doing the covering of second base. Anderson guesses right, just hits a grounder to left. As he's moving on the pitch, Salmon easily coasts into third.
Second base hit of the night for Garrett Anderson. That's hit number 8 against Scott Kamenicki. He was in the same situation with Eddie Murray, 2 on and 2 out back in the first, and got him on a bouncing ball to Rafael Palmeiro. Can he do it again? He's going to do it again. He just popped up Eddie Murray, jammed him, popped him up to the glove of Robbie Alomar. Kamenicki strands a couple. We're done with 5 in Anaheim. 3-1 Angels on HTS. Tonight's contestant in our Pepsi Big Slam Home Run Derby inning is Shannon Sudeth of Hagerstown, Maryland. Shannon, if a Baltimore player hits any home runs during tonight's Pepsi Big Slam inning, you're going to win a case of Pepsi and $100. To enter the Pepsi Big Slam Home Run Derby inning, send a postcard just like Shannon Sudeth did to the address you see on your screen. Shannon, we're pulling for you. Good luck here in the 6th. Robbie Alomar to start it out against Jason Dixon. Alomar, Eric Davis, Rafael Palmeiro. The big part of the Orioles hitting lineup here to look at Dixon.
happened again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're under attack. Don't bail on me, partner.
I'm not. I'm right here.
Stick with it right till the bitter end, all right?
We're gamers.
If we've got to get headed to the foxholes down here now.
Maybe we should check that camera shot above us, what's going on. Never mind where we sit. We'll find that kid.
Yeah, Jason Dixon just lost Roberto Alomar on 4 straight pitches. Chris Glass is going to figure out who it is. He's going to find him.
It might be the one laughing in a Yankee hat, I'll bet you.
Is that a White Sox hat or a Yankee? It's a White Sox hat, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got an S.
They can't see us up here.
Right.
These games are exciting.
That's kudos, Chris Glass. Our man found him just like that.
There's Eddie Haskell on the end. I'm sure he's encouraging.
Thank you, Mrs. Cleaver.
Yes.
Wonderful to see you, Mrs. Cleaver. You're right. Eric Davis standing in now against Jason Dixon. Eric got hit by a pitch his first time. Alomar with the lead. Dixon's going to check on it. We're in the 6th. 3-1 Anaheim.
We saw Robbie run a couple of times up in Oakland. Down 3-1 tonight. Nobody out. Situation where Robbie could take off.
Eric Davis turned it loose. No cheating of the DH there, as he wanted to drive something to San Bernardino, I believe.
A couple of years before he went to the Reds, he spent a couple of years with the Dodgers, hitting the low 230s. They try to change this stance to spread him out a little bit more. He made the conscious decision last year with the Reds. He's going to go back to his old way in hitting.
Right over our heads, that 0-2.
A lot of comparisons to Eric Davis when he first came up to Willie Mays. Certainly one of my favorite players growing up. Got number 24 on his back.
Rocket to left. Line drive base hit off the bat of Eric Davis. Jason Dixon left something up, and Eric made him pay. 2 on, nobody out as the Birds get something going here in the top of the 6th. First base hit of the night for Eric Davis. That's only the 3rd base hit for the O's against Jason Dixon. They've got a pair on, and
well, Marcel Latchman goes to the phone to get somebody up, and he's going to go out and have a talk with Dixon. Some scrambling going on. Looks like Chuck McElroy will get up and start to throw. One thing we noticed about Dixon, some of the notes given out today, had a 1.50 ERA through the first 3 innings. Through the middle innings, 4, 5, and 6, almost a 4 ERA, and after that, close to 7. So what it tells you, it gives you a pretty solid 5 or 6 every time out, but he starts to lose it as his pitch count approaches 100. This is almost a carbon copy of the game he pitched against the Orioles back in Baltimore. Went 6 2/3 in that game before giving away to Mike James. He took it the rest of the way. He is their closer.
there's Rafael Palmeiro now. Rafi hitting with a couple on and nobody out. Last time Rafael unloaded his 6th home run of the year, and O's assistant media relations director Bill Stetka just popped by to tell us, as we were talking about, Rafi went 20 games between the home runs. Last time that happened was when he was with the Texas Rangers, and it happened twice, once in 1992, once in 1993. And Palmeiro was upwards in between 85 and 90 turns at the plate, but he ended that drought, and he'd love to do it again.
I think it was a couple of years ago, it may have been last season, Rafi was going for home run number, I think it was 200. And he went a long stretch of time until in Milwaukee, I think it was a Sunday afternoon, he hit number 200, and the next time up hit 201. So once he breaks out of it, it's instantaneous that he goes from cold to hot.
Jason Dixon may not be giving him an opportunity to do that. He has missed 3 times to Palmeiro. He runs the danger of walking the bases full of Orioles here if he loses Rafael. Does he get the green light here? 3-0. He he did. Probably didn't get the cut he wanted. The pitch was up and out of the zone.
That's a pitch we talked about in the open. He throws Rafi a 3-0 cutter. Pitch that very much acts like a slider, but a little shorter in its break. This is a big pitch in the scheme of things for young Jason Dixon.
3-1 on its way. Lost it. Base on balls for Rafael Palmeiro. He walked Alomar and Palmeiro, and in between an Eric Davis base hit. And the stage is set for the man who has 6 career Grand Slam home runs to his name in the ledger, Cal Ripken.
Well, 2 for 4 in bases loaded situations this year. He's been outstanding with runners on base all year. Well, he goes right back to opening day against Kevin Apier. He's been a clutch performer with runners in scoring position.
Cal looking to add that that impressive RBI total this year. He's in the top 5 in the American League with 33. Line drive deep right, but Salmon's going to have room. Here's Alomar's tag. Robbie's going to score. Eric Davis is going to move up a station on the sacrifice fly. RBI off the bat of Cal Ripken. It cuts this Anaheim lead to 1 at 3-2, and the O's now are left with runners at the corners with 1 out after the Ripken RBI, his 34th of the year to plate Robbie Alomar.
And alertly, Eric Davis tagging up and moving to third base. So now the tying run just 90 feet away. Of course, BJ this year, no slouch with runners in scoring position, just hitting .428.
Surhoff with an opportunity here. BJ doubled his last time, hit the ball well. It should be no surprise to you if you've been watching the course of the last couple of weeks. Hit it well both of his trips to the plate against Jason Dixon. Fastball for a called strike.
Surhoff leads in that category at .428, best in the American League. It's almost like BJ's eyes go to a different width in this runners in scoring position, about as big. It swears he doesn't blink at all.
He's in a hole he's going to have to battle out of here. 0-2 to Jason Dixon.
He's just checking with home plate umpire Jim Evans. Was that a strike? He wants to know the outer limits of that strike zone. Surhoff with less than 2 outs and runners in scoring position. He's 8 for 12. BJ's had 39 runners in scoring position and has driven in 17.
Conversation continuing between Jimmy Leyritz and Jason Dixon.
Well, again, it's your comfort factor. I would think we could finish off Surhoff. They know he's hot. Which you have to go with if your Dixon is really your highest location pitch. You're going to throw a breaking ball, you have to make sure you either bounce it or keep it down. Probably wants to make Leyritz aware that the next pitch may be in the dirt.
Dixon all set with the 0-2. Bounce to the glove of Erstedt. This could be 2. DiSarcina 1. Erstedt got him by a half step. And BJ Surhoff and John Stearns and Davey Johnson don't think so. It cuts off the Oriole rally. 3-6-3. Double play started by Darren Erstedt. Let's take a look at it.
Well, BJ was hustling down that first baseline because he knows a tying run would come in if he beats this play. It's a tough one for McCoy to call.
Larry McCoy and Davey Johnson will continue the conversation. Orioles get 1, still down 1, 3-2 Anaheim on HTS.
We broke it down as slowly as we could on this double play, I guess, attempt. And what you have to read is the foot getting down to BJ's before it goes into Erstad's glove. And certainly when you can break it down this slowly, it appears that it's at least a tie. And certainly a tie does go to the runner. So you see BJ feels he has a legitimate beat, as does Beef, as does John Stearns and Davy Johnson. Big difference right there. The score would be tied. It'd be 2 outs and still 2 men on.
Instead, we'll go to the bottom of the 6th with Anaheim still on top at 3-2. Luis Alicea to lead it off, facing Scott Kamenicki. Surhoff making a bid for another RBI for himself, and that tie situation didn't happen as Larry McCoy gave the emphatic out sign down at first. So we'll move on as Scott Kamenicki tries to put together yet one more quality start for himself. He can get through this 6th inning and keep this thing right where it is. He's battled it tonight, Flan. He started out, he gives up a couple and 4 base hits in the first, comes right back and gives up another one in the second, but as has been the case, he'll stay with it.
And the night that Davy Johnson needed his starter to at least go 5. Kamenicki has somehow managed to stay in. It shows you the guile of Kamenicki. Experienced pitcher, can get by without his best stuff.
Cut on and missed. He went upstairs and blew away Luis Alicea. So Scott Kamenicki with a strikeout of the second baseman to start the 6th. We take a look at our Southwest Airlines game summary. Rafael Palmeiro broke that 20-game homerless drought with a solo bomb in the 4th, his 6th. Garrett Anderson has run that hit streak to 10. He's had a couple of Angel base hits, and Cal Ripken with his 34th RBI of the year, his sacrifice fly in the 6th, pulled the Orioles to within 1, and that's where we stand at the moment. As we say, good Friday morning to all of you back at home. We're happy you're staying up late with us tonight and enjoying Orioles baseball here out of Southern California. Gary DiSarcina got froze as he looked at that Kamenicki pitch for a called strike. DiSarcina tonight is 2 for 2. Gary singled to right his first time and then got picked off, and then he hooked that double in between Ripken and the bag his last turn up. Shot glove by Cal to his feet, threw out DiSarcina. Ripken this time saying, Gary, you're not going to hit it hard enough to blow it past me.
Well, he may have hit this ball harder, but certainly Rip has to play in a couple of steps at third base, protect it. Just shows those great hands. His hand strength never ceases to amaze me, able to stop the ball. Most players, their glove would be torn back behind them. Rip able to keep it in front somehow. A little closer at third base than at shortstop.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it gets its nickname, the hot corner. Really, it shows you how sharp Rip's reactions still are. Always been noted for that great first step.
Ripken handling the glove work to help out Scott Kamenicki. Let's see if he can get through young Darren Erstad now. Retired Erstad on a big pop-up last inning with 2 on, and then struck out Jim Edmonds to end the 5th.
There's been a few big pitches on both sides. Certainly Kamenicki striking out Edmonds, second and third, and 1 out. Or 2 outs, actually, to end that inning. And as you said, the pop-up to Erstad, and on the other side, Dixon's last pitch. Double play grounder from preventing the score from being tied.
Popped Erstad up again. Ripken's going to have room by that Angel dugout. Cal will put the squeeze on it. 6 innings, 3 runs. Quality start. Scott Kamenicki. Orioles down 1, 3-2. We'll go to the 7th on HTS. 3-8-0 for the Anaheim Angels. 2-3-0 for the Birds. Now they're looking down from their roost. They think that we can't spot them up there. Go ahead, Mike. Give them the evil eye. Let them know that we are all locked in on them. Those are the mad bombardiers that are raining down peanut shells on us as we bring this camera shot down. And then here we are, as you see, as you look at us from over here at third base. See, we're open up here. We're being just drilled. It's like a commando attack coming from the young people upstairs.
Next time we get one of those helmets.
We need one. We definitely do. Let's go to the 7th as the Orioles started with Chris Hoyles and Tony Tarasco and Mike Bordick, the three scheduled against Jason Dixon. So just as he did at Camden Yards when he put together the win, Jason Dixon into the 7th inning against the O's.
Hoyles has been one of the best hitters in the American League this season from the 6th inning on, hitting .400. Is an indication that, of course, these are the opposition's best pitchers in late in the game in close games.
He got punched out there as Jason Dixon dropped that breaking pitch on the outside corner. Chris has a couple of words for home plate umpire Jim Evans as he heads back to the O's dugout.
Well, it's Dixon's first strikeout of the night. We just saw the last half inning where Kamenicki had his first 1-2-3 inning. Dixon's only had 2. So both pitchers appear to be making better pitches the deeper we run into this ball game.
Tony Tarasco at the plate. Tony 0 for 2. Hit the change for a called strike. Tarasco last time got flat out robbed as Jim Edmonds laid out and made a sprawling grab of Tarasco's line drive in right center field. Edmonds taking away extra bases from Tony. Edmonds has been busy tonight, and he's probably the reason that Jason Dixon is still standing on the rubber.
Well, you need them to help you out. Just much like Ray Miller preaches to his staff. You have a fine defense behind you. Use it.
Mike, just seemed like he's trusting that breaking pitch of his and throwing it much more frequently for strikes as we get late innings.
Certainly seems so. Getting it for called strikes. Used his fastball really the first 5 innings to set up the straight changeup. Got burned on a straight changeup to Palmeiro. Here's now gone made the curveball his second best pitch. Game of constant adjustments. Most good pitchers, they tell you they break the game down into thirds. First 3, middle 3, and final 3.
Breaking pitch bounced over the head of Dixon. DeSarcina on the run to gobble it up and throw out Tarasco. Nice play by Gary DeSarcina on the move.
Well, DeSarcina considered one of the best shortstops in the West, right along with Mike Bordick. In 1995, DeSarcina did not commit an error in 54 consecutive games. It was the longest streak by a shortstop that year. It was the longest streak since Mike Bordick, then with the Oakland Athletics, had a 59-game streak in '93. While the major league record is held, or is number 95, is held by Cal Ripken. So 3 of the players involved in some long consecutive errorless streaks in the game tonight.
Two out, nobody on now in the 7th for Mike Bordick. Bordick hitting out of that number 9 hole in Davey Johnson's lineup. Mike looking for his first base hit. He's worked over Tim Salmon twice. Flied out to the Angels right fielder both trips. 2-1 on Bordick. In conversation, Scott Kamenicki and Scott Erickson. Line drive right field. Salmon coming hard to make that sliding grab. Third time tonight that Tim Salmon has handled Mike Bordick. Another sliding grab to get it done. Get on up and stretch it out this Friday morning, O's fans. Salmon making the glove work. 3-2 Anaheim on HTS. Time to take a look at our SK quality scoreboard. Taste the difference SK makes. Chicago beat Seattle in the Kingdome 4-3. The final. Norm Charlton got beat Kansas City. Got 3 in the 9th to beat the Detroit Tigers in Kauffman Stadium 10-9. Kenny Rogers picks up the win. New York Yankees are sailing right now. They beat Texas 8-2 down in Arlington, and Milwaukee and Oakland up the coast. Northern California tied at 5 apiece in the 6th. Swing over to the National League. Chicago beat San Diego today at Wrigley 8-2. Pittsburgh, you saw it right here, courtesy of the Fox folks, beat Colorado 4-3 earlier tonight. Montreal got one late and beat San Francisco, the final at 8-7 up in Canada. And the LA Dodgers went into Synergy Field and beat Cincinnati, the final at 2-1. That's our SK Quality scoreboard. Scott Kamenicki went 6. He gave up 3 runs to the Angels. Now he gives way to Jesse Orosco.
Well, he gets a quality start out of it. Kamenicki does, through 111 pitches. Battled his way from the first pitch till last. And now Mr. Reliable, certainly against left-handed batters this year. Orosco, left-handed hitters are 0 for 8 this year, so no left-hander able to get a base hit off Orosco, and he'll face 2 out of 3 this inning.
Jim Edmonds has started out in the 7th. Edmonds, Jack Howell, the left-handers that Mike speaks of, and then Jim Leyritz. So this is 2, 3, and 4 in the Angels lineup.
Orosco last pitched Tuesday against the Oakland Athletics. Pitched an inning and a third of hitless relief.
Fly ball center field off the bat of Jim Edmonds. His opposite number, Brady Anderson, will handle it. Edmonds retired to start the 7th.
Well, make left-handers 0 for 9 this year. Orosco really has been a model of consistency since his arrival. 95, he pitched in 65 games last season, pitched in 66 games. Only in the 89 season with Cleveland did he make more appearances. That year he pitched in 69 games. The other amazing thing, and he almost goes back to Ripken's tenure, he's never been on the disabled list.
Jack Howell with a fly ball to deep left center field. Surhoff on the go at the track. BJ didn't get it secure. Got his glove on it, and then it popped out of there, and Jack Howell is going to coast into second base with a 2-base hit. Surhoff got some leather on it out there near the 386 sign in deep left center field, but not able to haul it down.
Well, it's a fastball up and out over the plate. Hoyles wanted the ball down and away. It appears PJ was going to get to this ball. Good hustle on his part. Looks like it just went over his glove or off his glove, arriving at the wall at the same time the ball does. PJ had to go a long way. It goes right over the top. Howell sort of watching the play as we did and realized that it went over Surhoff's head and coasted into second.
Second double on the evening for Jack Howell. He's 2 for 3, and he's in scoring position now with 1 out for Jim Leyritz. That is base hit number 9 on the evening for Anaheim. Howell and Garrett Anderson, each of them with 2 apiece.
They're going to make a change at second base. Raybeck going the pinch run for Howell. Leyritz is 0 for 4 in his career against Orosco with 2 strikeouts. But this year he has been one of the better hitters in the league with runners in scoring position. It's sort of a question and see what Davey Johnson will do. See, right about there, Howell realizes that BJ had a chance to catch it. Sort of pulls up lame right there at second base, the reason that Graybeck has come in to run.
So put Graybeck in as a pinch runner now for Jack Howell, and Orosco going to have to deal with Jim Leyritz. Leyritz on the evening out of the cleanup spot is 0 for 3. Kamenicki got his former teammate all 3 times, twice on pop-ups to the infield. Leyritz ahead in the count 2-0 against Jesse Orosco. Tried to turn it all loose there and swung right through the Orosco heat. And we talk so much, Mike, about when the Orioles have leads and when they score first. Conversely, when they've trailed after after 6 innings this year, just 4 and 8. I'd like to start doing some climbing back toward the 500 mark there when they go into the late innings without the lead. 3-1 on Jimmy Leyritz. Building this record that the Orioles have and leading the American League East at 25-12. You've heard us talk a lot about the starters. They have been absolutely brilliant in what they've accomplished. The starters 21-5 entering tonight.
That'll work.
It will. Those have had a lot of success too early. You've seen the American League West out here. This tripping in Camden Yards last week extensively. Leyritz fouls it back. Count full of 3-2. Orioles entered tonight 12-6 against the AL West. Nice grab by one of the upper deck outfielders over our heads here.
I hope the kid with the penis didn't get it.
Maybe if he did, though, the ball will keep him occupied.
No, then the whole bag would have fell on our heads.
Could be. Craig Graybeck, who is running for Jack Howell, who had doubled, is at second base with 1 out. We're in the 7th. 3-2 Anaheim on top. As we come at you out of Southern California here on HTS. Orozco trying to get Leyritz. Payoff pitch. Got him. Excellent spot. Jesse Orozco took something off and went down and in under the hands of Jimmy Leyritz.
Well, Davey Johnson calls it Orozco's snapdragon. It's that late breaking slider. Leyritz just swings over the top of it. Appears to be a strike, and the bottom just falls out of it. He's going to be in most of the close games this year, especially late in the game. His job is to really retire the left-handed batters. But this year, even the right-handers have gone down. They're just 3 for 15 off Orozco.
Jesse looking to deal now with Tim Salmon. Salmon with a base hit and an RBI and 2 official turns.
Orozco's been tough on Salmon this year also in his career. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. That's why he's become Davey's go-to guy really late in the game. Up a run, even, or down a run. Sort of the bridge to Randy Myers most times.
Cut out and missed. Orozco with a good fastball as he makes his appearance here in the 7th tonight, blowing it by Tim Salmon.
Yeah, it must be that home cooking. San Diego is Jesse Orozco's home. Saw his family in the hotel today. He's also showing that at 40 years of age, he can still get it up there around 90 miles an hour. And Salmon is one of the best fastball hitters in the league.
Now, if you're Salmon, you've seen a couple of fastballs, and you're still behind at 1-2. Advantage Orozco right here. Bounced the slider to the hands of Larry Boa, who coaches, I won't say in that third base coaching box because he's not, and he has been embroiled in quite a lot of controversy this week on this homestand. It started when he got ran out of here in game 1 of the Chicago series. Then there's been a large is he stealing signs escapade, or is he not stealing signs?
Yeah, Davey Johnson came on the dugout last night and wanted Boa back in that box they put down there. Felt that maybe he was stealing some signs from Chris Hoyles, but they seemed to clear the matter up today. saw Chris Hoyles go over the bowler before the game. I don't know what was said, but they shook hands at the end of it.
And there's Larry Boa. Look how far he is out of that third base coaching box that's marked off. That'll give you another nice look at it from up top. He's probably 50 feet toward home plate.
Well, the reason Boa wants to stand so far down the line is that on a base hit gives him a late look at also the outfielders and how they line up. If he's in that box, it's a much tougher call. That way he gets to read the runner Graybeck and can make a last-minute decision whether to hold Graybeck or to send him. It seems to be almost an unwritten rule in baseball that the coaches are never in the boxes. If you look over at first, Dave Parker's not in either. And we'll have to check with Stearns, but that's, I don't know, just it seems to be the way it is.
2-2 from Orozco. Count runs 4 on Timmy Salmon at 3-2 now.
Roscoe does have a base open, so he can afford to throw either the off-speed pitch or try to locate that fastball. Left-hander Garrett Anderson on deck, who's not backed into a corner in this situation.
The off pitch coming from Orozco to Salmon. Lost him. Jesse had him 0-2, and Salmon winds up drawing the base on ball. Here's Garrett Anderson now, and Garrett Anderson has been a tough customer tonight. A couple of base hits, both of them the other way, as Armando Benitez gets up and loosens in the Orioles bullpen. Fourth walk that has been issued by Oriole pitching tonight. Kamenicki in his 6 innings walked 3 Angel hitters.
Davey Johnson checking out that matchup sheet. They're right behind the lineup card.
Roscoe trying to get left-handed hitting Garrett Anderson. Start him with a breaking pitch for a called strike. Garrett has moved that average up to 349, as you see. He's having a very productive beginning at the plate for Terry Collins.
1 for 2 against Orozco in his career. He's a pretty good hitter against left-handed pitching. It's over 300. Has the ability to hit the ball to the opposite field.
Bounced in front of the plate. The comebacker handled by Orozco, and he's out of the 7th. Let's go to the 8th. 3-2 Anaheim on HTS. HTS coverage of Orioles baseball is brought to you by Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages, where people go to buy, find, or do just about anything. By your Subaru dealer, who invites you to come in and experience the beauty of all-wheel drive. And by Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary. Michael Regai, Mike Flanagan with you in Anaheim. We're going to the 8th, and both managers now have turned it over to the bullpens. Jason Dixon's work for the evening is done as you check out Craig Graybeck. Graybeck came in and pinch ran for Jack Howell after his double in the Anaheim 7th. He'll stay in and play third base. So make that change on your scorecard with us. And also put Chuck McElroy on the mound. He is taking over the left-hander for the starter Jason Dixon, Mike, who only gave up 3 base hits and a couple of runs in his 7 innings of work.
Yeah, I guess they figured enough was enough. And again, less than 3 runs or earned runs in an outing. 8 out of 9 times for Dixon. Chuck McElroy on the pitch. Last appearance, he pitched 1 inning, May 12th against Chicago. Gave up a couple of hits and a run and struck out 3 in that outing.
Facing Brady Anderson to start off the Birds' 8th. Brady's 0 for 2 officially. He has reached base once again. The man that leads the American League in on-base percentage via the walk back in the 3rd.
Well, Chuck McElroy from Port Arthur, Texas. Used to say when the pitcher threw sidearm or submarine, he threw from Port Arthur. Well, McElroy's from there. Began the season last year with the Cincinnati Reds and was traded over on May 27th for Lee Smith.
Brady Anderson hanging in against the left-hander that was a variety of pitches, Chuck McElroy.
He has that low three-quarter delivery, fastball and slider.
Did he go? No, said Chuck Merriweather. Merriweather emphatically telling the Angels that Brady did not count runs full on Anderson.
You see that check swing, the bat head goes out.
Fly ball, short left field. A lot of room for Garrett Anderson. One down in the Orioles' 8th. Robbie Alomar now. Robbie 0 for 2 officially and has scored one of the 2 Oriole runs on the night. Robbie waltzed home on Cal Ripken's sacrifice fly back in the 6th, but the runs and base hits have been tough to come by. Alomar will round it with a glove of D. Sarcina. 2 quick ones for Chuck McElroy here in the Orioles' 8th. McElroy has done his job, and that's what Terry Collins wanted, to get the left-handed hitting Brady Anderson and Robbie Alomar, who is swinging much better from the left side. And they turned him around and had him go right-handed. Time for another Bell Atlantic call to the bullpen here in the Orioles' 8th. 3-2 Anaheim on HTS. Numbers are very nice for the well-traveled right-hander Rich DeLucia, who comes on here to face Eric Davis in the 8th.
No, very tough on right-handers. You see the strikeouts pretty high for the amount of innings pitched. Goes out of a low right-handed delivery. Fastball, outstanding slider. Was acquired by the Angels from San Francisco April 14th when Mark Gubaza went on the disabled list for the proverbial player to be named later.
He was ahead of Eric Davis very quickly at 0-2. DeLucia started the season with the Giants and was off to a decent start with them and has picked it right up here as he moved to the American League.
Yeah, he's appeared in 11 games as an Angel, posting a 3-1 record. He has a save, a 1.38 ERA. But walks are high, 10 walks and 13 innings pitched, but also good strikeout numbers, 15 strikeouts in those 13 innings. That tells you he's not the type of pitcher to give in poor counts. 2-0, 3-1, 3-2, liable to throw a slider in those situations.
Slider right there that missed. 2-2 on Davis.
Well, slider really is his go-to pitch. Of course, a good slider almost unhittable. A poor slider gets hit a long way, and we've seen Eric Davis hit some hanging sliders a long way.
Two on the way to Eric Davis. Count runs full now, 3-2. Rafael Palmeiro waiting on deck if Eric Davis can reach. Angel bullpen is buried back so far that from where we sit, difficult to see if any work going on. Eric Davis, a strikeout victim, as he had a fastball blown up by Rich DeLucia. And DeLucia does his job. We're going to the bottom of the 8th. Orioles have to hold it right here. 3-2 Anaheim on HTS. Make sure you stick around for Fox Sports News. It's coming up next. When we are done, we'll show you the Yankees and Rangers highlights. We'll also tell you about Rod Thorne laying out some heavy suspensions. Miami Heat, New York Knicks as they get ready for Game 6 tomorrow night in the Big Apple. And the wrap-up from right here at the Big A in Southern California, courtesy of Mike Flanagan and yours truly, Michael Regai, as we go to the bottom of the 8th now. That all coming up on Fox Sports News right here on HTS after our business is finished. Jesse Orozco tries to hold things where they are as the Orioles are down 3-2 here in the bottom of the 8th. They'll turn Eddie Murray around and have him swing from the right side tonight. Eddie's 0 for 3. Hasn't hit the ball well yet tonight as Scott Kamenicki got him all 3 times, and he's left 4 runners stranded. Two and 0 to Murray.
Eddie uncharacteristically this year hitting higher from the right side, hitting over 300, right around 200 from the left side. Over his career has been a better hitter from the left side. Natural right-handed hitter.
Lifted the 2-0 pitch into short right center field. Brady Anderson will put it away. Murray retired to start out the 8th. All rights to this baseball telecast are reserved. Any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of the pictures without the express written permission of the Baltimore Orioles and CBS Cable is solely prohibited. The Big A in Anaheim, the reconfigured Big A, as you see. We've been showing it to you all night and morning long here on HTS. That's right, Flan. It's about 1:45 back home right now.
We'll be getting in at rush hour time in Baltimore. We have a late night charter tonight up to Seattle.
And all the players wanted us to pass along no phone calls early tomorrow in Seattle. Luis Aliceo followed into the seats down the line and right. Carrasco runs out of room.
Well, I told Alex I would call her for breakfast in the morning.
There you go. Breakfast in the great Northwest.
We get to see Tim Salmon here, and then we head up to Salmon Country.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll say there is mucho good eating up in the great Northwest, up near Seattle, Washington. Just like in Baltimore. I mean, if you like good seafood, Baltimore, Boston, Eastern Seaboard, out that you can't go wrong.
Well, it's usually near the water.
Near the water. That's what it is. There you go. would tend to make sense.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't fish much in the desert anymore.
Maybe that's why I'm not a real good fisherman. I spent too much time casting my hook in the sand. Maybe that's a problem.
I went fishing one time and I couldn't catch a thing until I finally discovered I didn't have a hook on. So that's a common error on my part.
Well, I'm going to have to get you to teach me.
You will be an expert fly fisherman.
All right.
By the end of the year.
Really?
We have our way. Oh yeah.
You don't know what you're in for here. Now, there's some guys that know their way around the frozen pond of the NHL. That's Paul Correa right there. Is he with the Anaheim Mighty Ducks? Now, they were eliminated by the Detroit Red Wings in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Well, they had a very nice year out here. The pond is right across the street. We did see it there. We still kind of can catch a glimpse of the top of it.
Yeah, right behind the center field wall.
Yeah.
Quite a facility.
The Disney operated facilities out here in Southern California. 2-2 to Luis Alicea. He's sitting with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. 3-2 Anaheim. The Orioles are trying to get it stopped here and see what they can muster in the top of the 9th. And that run of not having lost a season series since way back in last September is in jeopardy. Popped Alicea up did Jesse Orozco. Palomero in front of Robbie Alomar to put it away. 2 down in the 8th.
Well, to have the right guys coming up in the 9th. Palomero, Ripken, and Surhoff.
DiSarcina has been one of the multi-hit guys for Anaheim tonight. They have 3 of them. Jack Howell with a pair, Garrett Anderson with a pair, and DiSarcina with a pair. Singled and doubled. 9 Anaheim base hits, and those 3 gentlemen have 6 of them. So Roscoe looks to get DiSarcina and start the Orioles heading to the plate in the 9th.
We've run into a couple of tough pitchers really here at Anaheim Stadium. Dennis Springer last night pitched a terrific relief. And really tonight, Jason Dixon really picking up where he left off from his start back in Baltimore. And he hasn't just done it to the Orioles, he's done it to just about everyone in the league. Really only had 1 bad outing this year. And in defense of Scott Kamenicki, he's 6 quality innings again. I mean, he gives you innings and they're quality.
Down the line in right and fading foul.
And we talked about run support, you know, in the open today, just giving 2.7 runs per start. Then tonight they've given him 2 runs to work with. So that's more of the same in that department.
He and I were teasing each other in Oakland. And, you know, I said to him, well, one of these days you're going to give up about 10 and hang around 5 innings, but the boys will get 11 or 12 for you, and you'll get a win, and that'll be the one that gets you going. But, you know, Scott was saying, hey, yeah, you were talking about it, every staff on any ball club, good, bad, or indifferent ball club, it seems like one guy is the guy that goes out there and doesn't get a lot of runs for him, and right now he's it.
You know, Dennis Martinez on our 79 club that came out here and played the Angels in the playoffs that year had a losing record. He was 14, I think, and 19. Pitched 296 innings. Just when his turn came up, they didn't score any runs. It wasn't that he was a poor pitcher that league or that year. It's really been a DiSarcina Ripken show tonight. DiSarcina hitting a double by Rip on the 3rd baseline. This time Rip stationed right on the line. There's Terry Collins, the manager of the Anaheim Angels.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a thing with you and you were throwing on Sundays that your former teammate Ken Singleton used to always, Flanagan's on the mound on a Sunday, he went long ball for you?
I think one year he had 35 home runs. He had 28 in my games. So I look very forward to having Ken in the lineup. And I tell you, on the other side of the coin, Singleton liked to see me go to the mound because he knew he was going to hit a homer. He said, why don't you start 60 or 70 times instead of just a 40, and I would have a real good year.
So what, he went and campaigned Weaver to start you every other day?
He would have liked that, but, you know, I would have liked to play a couple more seasons after that.
Might have did some lasting damage on the left arm. 3-2 on Gary DiSarcina as Orozco has run the count full. Old baseball. So was it back when the Milwaukee Braves, when they run in the late 50s? I remember as a kid, you know, you go in here and Spawn and Sane and Pray for Rain. And they only had those 2, and that was about it. DiSarcina with a drive that Brady Anderson is going to pull in as he goes toward the track in deep right center field. And that's going to do it. Orioles got an opportunity here in the 9th. They're down 1. Need some bats to go to work. 3-2 Anaheim on HTS. What do you say we plug in our Circuit City video replay of the night? All right, the Orioles cut the deficit to 1, 3-2 in the 6th. DJ Surhoff looking to leg out this attempted Anaheim double play. Now you make the call here. This is the turning point in the contest, folks. First place base umpire Larry McCoy said Surhoff was beaten by that throw from Gary DiSarcina. Surhoff, John Stearns, and Davey Johnson ultimately had some words for McCoy, but Mike, if that decision is the other way, we're tied at 3 right now, at least.
Well, at least is the key word there. Would have been tied up and still 2 outs, 2 men on. And Chris Hoyle's coming to the plate, but one of those things we'll never know. But certainly that is a questionable call.
See what the O's can do here in the top of the ninth. Saw they're facing a left-hander now on the mound. Mark Holtz facing Rafael Palmeiro. Rafael ended the home run drought. His second time to the plate as he unloaded a solo shot back in the fourth, his sixth of the year. Rafael would love to tie this contest up if he could, for the second time this year, do the multi-home run thing.
Well, Terry Collins bringing in Holtz because he is left-handed, and 2 of the first 3 batters this inning are left-handed.
He's behind 3-0 just like that. Now, I wonder if he lets him face Ripken if he loses Palmeiro. And again, we can't see into that bullpen down there.
I'm pretty sure he's committed to go through at least Surhoff.
Rafi will be sitting on something in the middle right here. Sharply, but to the glove of Luis Arcea. 1 down in the O's ninth. Now Holtz got behind 3-0, and he got Palmeiro to ground out to Arcea on the 3-1 pitch. Nope. He's going to go get him. He was on to get out Rafael Palmeiro, Mike, and he did.
Right. You were right. I was wrong.
Oh, no, I couldn't see down there. We can't see down in that bullpen. I was wondering if maybe he had a right-hander up, and he does have their closer, James, up.
James is their closer, no question.
We'll tell you about Mr. James when we get back to the festivities. 3-2 Anaheim, 1 down in the Oriole ninth. More coming up on HTS. Want to send congratulations along to Meadred Hanks. Meadred, no player did hit for the cycle, but you have won a Panasonic 27-inch stereo TV by playing at tonight's Giant HTS Orioles $1 Million Magic. To see if you can turn your field of dreams into a field of green, watch the Orioles on O's TV and see your local Giant for details. Mike James, he's a stopper, he's the closer, and he's been called into duty for Terry Collins' Angels here with 1 out in the ninth.
Well, Torrey Percival is really closer. But James, in subbing for Percival, has done a good job. He's real tough on right-handed hitters. Low 3/4 delivery, throws in the low 90s, and an outstanding slider to go with it. We saw him pitch in Baltimore in relief of Jason Dixon. Came in the 7th inning, pitched 3 1/3 innings of really sparkling relief.
First hitter he will face will be Cal Ripken, who first pitch swings and flies it to fairly deep right. Tim Salmon will track it and put it away. Orioles are down to their final out. Now, although the O's did not have a Deer Park double play this contest, Deer Park Spring Water will still make a donation to the local RBI program that provides inner-city children with the opportunity to learn and enjoy the game of baseball. Deer Park, that's good water. Terry Collins, Mike, since he took out his starter, Jason Dixon, has used 4 pitchers to record 5 outs right now. He got 2 out of McElroy, 1 each out of DeLucia and Holtz, and now he's got 1 out of James, and looking for 1 more.
They're really playing the left-right matchup all the way through the Oriole lineup. So that James very tough on right-handed batters, are just 7 for 49 or 143, but lefties hit 406. From that low sidearm release point, a left-handed batter gets a much longer look at James. Lefties are 13 for 32.
2 out, nobody on. 3-2 Anaheim. B.J. Surhoff trying to keep it alive. 1-1 now as B.J. fouls it left side. Surhoff on the evening, 1 for 3. He doubled his middle time, and as we showed you, may be involved in the most critical moment of this contest. First base umpire Larry McCoy called him out at a close play at the bag as he bounced into the 3-6-3 double play. And if McCoy says safe, we're at least tied at 3-3 if the Orioles don't do any more damage from that point on in the inning. But that wasn't the case. The O's have not been able to come back with anything since that point, Franny.
Yeah, you have to give some credit to the Anaheim Angels bullpen. The last 2 nights, They've really come in and slammed the door on the Orioles, protecting one-run leads.
Called strike 3. Mike James came with some gas on the inside edge, and home plate umpire Jim Evans punched out B.J. Surhoff. For the first time this year, the Orioles have lost the season series. Lost twice here in Anaheim. The lead now down to 2 by virtue of the New York Yankee win tonight in Arlington. 3-2. Anaheim beats the O's. We'll come back and tell you about it out of Southern California on HTS. HTS coverage of Orioles baseball has been brought to you by Southwest Airlines. With fares so low, you have the freedom to go places and do things you never thought possible. By Bell Atlantic 9X Mobile, they are the cellular leader. By Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. By Heckinger, fastest checkouts in Baltimore. By Safeway Food and Drug, nobody does it better. By Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. By BP, everything we do is to keep you moving. And by Fram Filters, as dependable as the people who use them. Jason Dixon was very dependable tonight. So was Scott Kamenicki. They both pitched well. Dixon pitched a little bit better. Orioles with only 3 base hits. They fall to Anaheim, the final, at 3-2. Kamenicki falls to 2-2. And Jason Dixon now 6-1. Mike James got his 5th save. And the Orioles, in crucial times when they had opportunities with only 3 base hits, did not come up with a big base hit when they needed it.
Well, they had one big scoring opportunity, and that was in the 6th inning. They loaded the bases with none out. Ripken hits a sacrifice fly. B.J. Surhoff hits into the controversial double play, but I guess the bottom line is we had 2 right guys up there, and Ripken and Surhoff, and we didn't get it done.
And with that, the O's fall to 25-13 on the year now. They've lost 2 in a row. And for the first time this year, they lose a series. For the first time since mid-September of 1996, they will not win a series. 3-2 losers tonight to Anaheim. Orioles baseball returns to O's TV tomorrow night at 10 o'clock when we head up to the Kingdome in Seattle to take on Junior Griffey and the Mariners. Those fans in Baltimore can see the game on WNUV Channel 54 and in Washington on WB 50. Now for our producer-director, Chris Glass, my partner, Mike Flanagan, and all of our talented HTS crew tonight here in Southern California. I'm Michael Regai, thanking you for your Orioles baseball company, everybody. Orioles baseball has been a presentation of HTS, the Baltimore Orioles, and your local cable operator. 3-2, Anaheim beats the O's. It's now on to Seattle. From all of us late night and early morning here in Southern California.